India's acquisition of the S-400 Triumph air defense system from Russia, while initially seen as a game-changing development in regional security, has gradually become a subject of strategic reassessment due to its delays, practical limitations, and evolving threat environments. Signed in 2018 for approximately $5.43 billion, the deal included 5 regiments of the long-range surface-to-air missile system, with deliveries scheduled to be completed by 2023. As of mid-2025, only 3 regiments have been delivered, with the remaining 2 now delayed until at least 2026 to 27, highlighting broader issues within the deal. The delays are primarily linked to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which disrupted Russia's defense export timelines, and the effect of US and European sanctions on the Russian defense industrial base. Critical components in microelectronics, many of which were previously imported by Russian manufacturers, have become harder to source. This has impacted not only India's S-400 deliveries but also raised questions about the long-term viability of maintaining and upgrading the systems already received. From a performance standpoint, while the S-400 has a strong technical reputation, with the ability to engage aircraft, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles at ranges up to 400 kilometers, its effectiveness in real operational environments remains largely unverified outside controlled exercises or limited conflicts. In India's case, the S-400 was deployed during a period of heightened military activity earlier in 2025. While the Indian government claimed it was effective in managing airspace threats, independent verification of successful intercepts is lacking. Moreover, some foreign and regional media outlets reported that an S-400 radar unit may have suffered damage during the conflict, though India denied these claims and showcased the operational readiness of the system in subsequent public appearances, including one by the Prime Minister at an airbase. These incidents raised broader doubts about the system's survivability and its vulnerability to modern tactics, such as saturation attacks with cheap drones or decoys, which are increasingly being used to overwhelm high-cost missile defenses. Critics argue that while the S-400 may be highly capable on paper, it is not invulnerable, especially when deployed in contested environments without a fully networked multi-layer defense. Another area of concern is interoperability. India's armed forces operate a diverse inventory of Western, Russian, and indigenous systems. The S-400, with its proprietary Russian software and systems, is not seamlessly compatible with India's existing and future network-centric warfare plans, particularly those incorporating Western-origin platforms like the Rafale, Apache helicopters, or Israeli-origin sensors and interceptors. This lack of integration adds complexity and potentially reduces the system's overall efficiency in joint operations or fast-moving scenarios. Additionally, the economic aspect cannot be overlooked. The high cost of acquisition, along with potential long-term maintenance and spares challenges, especially if Western sanctions on Russia remain in place, has led to internal defense discussions on the cost-effectiveness of such purchases. For a system that was intended to be a cornerstone of India's air defense, the recurring delays and uncertain support architecture cast doubt on its reliability during an extended conflict. In response, India is doubling down on developing indigenous alternatives. Project Kusha, led by the Defense Research and Development Organization (DRDO), aims to build a long-range surface-to-air missile system comparable in capability to the S-400. Though still in development, it is expected to undergo testing by the end of the decade, with deployment planned in the early 2030s. This move is part of a broader shift towards strategic autonomy and self-reliance in critical defense technologies. India has also opened exploratory dialogue with other partners for future systems. While discussions about the S-500, a more advanced system designed to intercept hypersonic weapons, have taken place with Russia, there is considerable caution within the Indian strategic community. The preference now is to avoid large-scale dependency on any single country's defense ecosystem, particularly one constrained by geopolitical friction and economic sanctions. The S-400 also faces criticism in global military circles. Its limited combat record, questionable performance in real-world conflicts involving countries like Syria, and its inability to counter low-cost drone swarms effectively, have reduced its reputation as a dominant anti-air system. Additionally, in other global contexts where the system has been exported, like Turkey, it created political complications and raised concerns about the host country's ability to independently operate and upgrade the system without ongoing Russian involvement. In India's case, the S-400 is still a valuable asset. It extends air surveillance and interception capabilities significantly beyond previous systems, but it is no longer seen as the single solution to the country's air defense needs. Instead, it is now part of a layered strategy that must be supplemented by faster, more integrated, and cost-effective systems. The S-400 acquisition, once viewed as a strategic leap, is now increasingly seen through a more measured and critical lens. Delays, integration challenges, real-world performance questions, and geopolitical constraints have transformed what was a major defense milestone into a case study on the risks of high-cost, high-dependence military imports. India's focus has already shifted toward diversification, rapid indigenization, and smarter procurement strategies to ensure future readiness without strategic overdependence.